So this is Sultai lands. You can see there are a lot of different lands. A lot of different lands. Let's start there. So the general goal of this deck, if you're not familiar, is this card Field of the Dead. It says whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a black zombie creature token. So goal is to get Field of the Dead along with 6 other unique lands onto the battlefield and attack them with an army of zombie tokens there. So we have a number of ways to cheat lands and get extra lands into play. We have what I think makes this deck a little bit unique is it's got 8 of the 2 mana draw a card, put an extra land into play. Explore and Growth Spiral. It also has Cultivate, which search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and 1 into your hand. So that ramps you a bit. We have 3 of the Uro, which is just like Growth Spiral, except it's a creature that you can cast from the graveyard later, and it gains you 3 life. It's pretty disgusting. We have Oracle of Moldiah, just a 1-of that allows you to play 2 lands a turn and play lands from the top of your library. Hour of Promise is what really puts this deck over the hump, I think. This allows you to get 2 any lands and put them both on the battlefield. So what you can do is if you have 5 unique lands, you can get a Field of the Dead and another land, and it'll create 2 zombies because Field of the Dead and the other land will see each other at the same time. They will say, hey, these all entered at the same time. I see 7 different types of lands, 2 fields. But if you already have 6 or more different types of lands without Field of the Dead, you can get 2 Fields of the Dead and create 4 zombie tokens at once. So you can do that as early as turn 4. I think it's as early as turn 4. I don't think you can go any faster than that. And then it has a singleton Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So this is actually going to be a little bit different than a lot of other ramp or field decks. And actually I want to jump over and kind of show you a little bit here. So there is some other, so we're Sultai colors, which is black, green, and blue. And there was at least another one. I think this one took 20th or something along that. They play the same colors as us, but they only have 4 explorers. Oh, they actually do the 4 explorer and 4 growth spiral, but they rely a little bit more on ramping a little bit. So they have Elvish Rejuvenator instead of Cultivate. They have a Golos and a Massacre Worm. They have, instead of the Languish, they have Extinction Event, and they also have Maelstrom Pulse. So how many lands are we playing? I don't actually know that offhand. So what we do a little bit different is our interaction is a little bit different. We have the Heartless Act, which will basically kill just about anything. We have the Languish instead of the Extinction Event, which I think is much better. I think the Languish is definitely a better call. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. They have a pretty similar, if not identical, I don't think we have any Field of the Rune, and we don't have the Oasis. Yeah, they actually have more do thing lands here. Are they not playing? That's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, they're playing the Cascading Cataracts defined with their Hour Promise that allows them to add 5 mana in any colors for Golos, to activate Golos here. But they are not playing the Arc of Orazca, which definitely one of the better things you can get with Hour Promise. They're playing it's kind of medium ones here. I think this is just not good. It's just different lands. I think the Arc is definitely the best one, and they're also not playing the other or draw a card one, the Castle Lochtwain, which seems like a questionable choice, if you're asking me. And then, are they playing? They're also not playing Hybrid Crazes, another huge, I think, mistake. This card, have you read this card? It's super good. You get to draw cards, gain life, and put a big creature into play. I think that's great. And then, as far as our lands go, we have Blast Zone, we have the Arc, talked about, and then we have a couple ones at the Jungle Hollow, and where's the blue? There's another one that draws the Hinter, the Thornwood Falls. There we go. That gains us a couple life here. It's come in relevant several times. Bajuka Bog, which was an all-star. There's so many things trying to abuse the graveyard. Bajuka Bog just crushes that and can be found off of our promise here. We're not running deserts. That's one thing. I just don't think you really need it. So our promise does have that if you control 3 or more deserts, you can create stuff. And this one was running it. I think this is the highest other Sultai land deck that made the cut here. So they're running their Rivulet, they're running the Dreadlands, and they're running the Hashep Oasis as their deserts. I don't think they're running any other deserts. I don't see any offhand that they can use. I just don't think that that's good enough. I would much rather have the Arc or Azka, the Castle Octwain, and then just better colors overall. In the sideboard, we have Disfigure, which is obviously for the aggressive matchups, the aggro matchups. Just 1 mana, kill a small creature. We have Grafdigger's Cage, which relevant does shut down our Uro, but also shuts down other things if other unfair decks are trying to do graveyard synergies or cast spells from libraries. Aether Gust, which I don't think I actually boarded in. I don't think this deck really wants it or needs it. I don't think I boarded it in maybe once, but I would much rather just be pedal to the metal here. A little bit more Heartless Act Languish for some of the aggressive decks. We have a Tameo, which is I don't know if I ever cast Tameo. I don't think I did. If you have an Aristocrats that's trying to make you sacrifice stuff, that'll stop it. It's a little bit more for grinding matchups, but I didn't really like it in the grinding matchups. The grinding matchups I think are good already. We just grind them out in the field for grinding. They can't stop us making land drops. Elder Gargaroth, actually, I kind of liked. It's just a beefy body. You can drop it on turn 4. It just blocks everything, gains you life, draws cards, creates more bodies. Like, it just seems really good. Massacre Worm is great for opposing Field of the Deads. This is one that I would actually look to maybe get more of. Just play Massacre Worm. Your opponent loses a lot of times in the field mirrors. Casualties of War was kind of a divisive card. I wasn't really expecting it to be. I think it's a very good card. Allows us to come back in the mirror matches and also other things. So what it does is it can kill up to 5 things, obviously. But if they have Ugin, a field, and a creature in play, maybe that's usually what'll happen a lot of times. You just kill all 3 of them. Ulamog is better in most circumstances, but I think there's a lot of routine circumstances that you'll find Casualties of War is very, very good. Just being able to hit 3 things versus Ulamog will only hit 2 things is really important a lot of the time. As for changes I would make after the fact, I might cut the Aether Gusts. What I would really want to do is try to find room for a second Bajuka Bog. There's a lot of games where I just wanted to get rid of their graveyard multiple times, and I don't really have a way to do it as it's set up right now. So I might cut one of something, maybe a Fabled Passage even, to get another Bajuka Bog, or probably the Fetid Pools is probably more likely, just because I don't think I ever cycled this. It just ended up being a tap land most of the time, and just get that Bajuka Bog in there. Just get a second one. Also, would probably cut the Oracle Moldiah for a third Hydroid Crisis. If the meta became a little bit more aggressive, maybe a Heartless X instead of the Hydroid Crisis for this Oracle Moldiah. But that's pretty much where I'm living right now. I really like this deck a lot. Let's swap over here. So that was one of the Sultai ramp decks. There was another one that was pretty similar. It actually ran 2 Golos. Also had the Extinction event. Once again, don't think that's super good. Just because a lot of the aggressive decks that you care about are trying to curve out 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of a sudden you're missing a lot of their threats. And Languish is going to hit most of them. I mean, Maelstrom Pulse is a very solid card, but we're going pedal to the metal here, and I think I just want more field. I just want to get a field faster. Yeah, another Sultai ramp. There's also some Bant ramp or Selesnya ramp going around. A couple Oracle. I didn't like. I don't know why one of Arboreal Grazer, but there were some that were running full of Arboreal. I mean, Wrath of God's really good. So, I mean, that's definitely a reason to go white. But I think the number one reason to go blue, green, and then black instead of white is because of Thoughtseize here. Thoughtseize absolutely wins you games. Just takes away the best card, lets you know what you have to play around, and it's just. I mean, it sees play in Legacy for a reason. Modern for a reason, because it's a very, very good card, very strong, and probably our best point of interaction in this deck. One of the things that Thoughtseize does is just slows them down enough where you can build your board presence here. So let's actually take a look at the archetype breakdown. So Sultai Lands was the most played deck in the tournament. It was only 8.7% of the field, and the match win rate was only 53%. So it actually didn't have a great showing, and I went 10-1. So without me here, all of a sudden it's a 12-18, and it's just horrible performing. There were a lot of Sultai land decks that scrubbed out pretty early. Just looking at the results here, and like I was just showing you, they were built a little bit differently to this deck. This deck is pretty much all in on the field plan, which I really love. So like Rakdos Aggro was the second most played deck. Like there were 3 of these in the top 8. But what I actually really liked is that they were all very different. I think 4 of the top 16 were Rakdos aggro, and every single one of them had at least 10 different unique cards out of their 60. It's not even counting sideboards, which I think is just great, being able to build some aggressive decks with the same colors and build them totally different. We'll actually probably get into that a little bit later. John Sacrifice, pretty solid, but only 151% win. Mono Red Burn actually is surprising that it was so low. But I mean, small sample size, only 25 decks here, or 25 matches. Mono Red Burn, and then just a little bit here, some Selesnya Ramp. Actually, was the best performing field deck. Just interesting. Sultai combo was, I think it was a New Perspectives combo. 0% match win rate for Simic Ramp, which is probably another field deck. It's actually really interesting. And then a few things down here, more Rakdos, some Jund mid range. So let's actually go round by round here. So I played Mono Blue Tempo in the first round, and it ended up pretty good. So the Mono Blue Tempo deck, the one they were playing, it was actually pretty similar to, actually, I guess pretty different. So it does play the Tempest Djinn, which is really good for our deck. Let's actually open up our deck so we can kind of compare them side by side here. So we're playing 31 lands. Languish just eats this deck up. And they also, all of their counter spells are not hard counters. So you can make them pay 4, pay 4, pay 2, pay 1. So our ramp deck just goes over that really well and just kind of owns their stuff there. Like they can bring in Aether Gust for our green stuff, but for the most part, we don't really care as long as get under them, get our languishes. At one point, they had 3 things on board: cast a Tempest Djinn, tapped out, and we just languished them from there. Seems like an okay matchup for us. They can definitely get under us. Their Brazen Power at one point definitely screwed us up. I don't remember exactly what happened, but they have card draw to do the octopus and the curious suspicion to draw cards. Pretty interesting. Not too much to say about that. Round 2 here against Jeskai aggro, and then Languish was just again once an all-star. Take a look at their deck here. So like Jeskai aggro, they're playing a bunch of 2-drops with flying or haste or menace. Bunch of flying. I think it's all flying. Yeah, just all flying. The match they won was actually the first match. They dropped like a turn 5 Baneslayer when I thought I was about to stabilize. I had Languish in hand. They go turn 5 Baneslayer, and then they just kill us in 2 from that. Like, we can make all the zombies we want. Baneslayer just wrecked us. The only way we can really deal with that main deck is our either Thoughtseize out of their hand, but we can't do that at the top of their deck, or the Heartless Act. You can also Ugin it, but didn't have any of those. Crush us. But then we were able to beat them. At one point, they had 1 Aurelia and 2 more in hand. We were able to kill all their other spells, and then Aurelia just wasn't enough to bring it over the top for them. So we went to 3 games there. Then we played against Orzhov Yorion, which just seems like basically a match win for us. They're really slow. They don't have much pressure at all. What they can do sometimes is get rid of our hand fast enough where we're in top deck mode before we have anything going. But it's tough to do. Like, they have Demonic Pact, which does a little bit of everything. But the fact that they're so slow just makes it good enough for us. Have to be like their worst matchup. So like they play to the board so much, like Elspeth Conquers Death. All it'll do for the most part is get rid of an Uro that's resolved, and at that point we've already gained 6 life, draw a couple cards, and put a couple lands into play. Like Doom Foretold, I don't care about that. I don't have much on the board until I already am going over the top of them. Othakaya doesn't, gains them a little life. It's a little bit of, reach. Trial of Ambition. I don't care if I sacrifice a creature, especially at, at sorcery speed. And just, like I said, slow. Like, Yorion is their biggest clock. I guess God Eternal is, but like God Eternal just gets blocked by a couple of zombies. Yorion turn 5 is the time we're pooping out zombies. Thoughtseize, I mean, is good. So like what they can do is Thoughtseize us into Burglar Rat, into like Charming Prince, into like Demonic Pact, and all of a sudden we're in top deck mode. Is something that is a real thing. But for the most part, we just pressure them too much with our land drops. I think we went 2-0 in that. Yeah, 2-0. Fork of the Yorion was actually a really interesting one. 2-1s, like a lot of back and forth stuff. And they're actually the Enigmatic Incarnation deck. So what this card does is they can sacrifice a different enchantment at the end of every turn to get a creature that's 1 greater mana cost. So they take any of their enchantments with an enter the battlefield effect, sack them, and then get their creatures with enter the battlefield effects. So they're just getting value here. So they can kill stuff, exile stuff, get Uro or Dreamwalker. just like all sorts of things. Questing Beast is really good against us because our zombies don't block it because it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Like they can Massacre Worm us, they can just get us main back. Scarab God did work for them. Pretty sure that's when they killed us in the first game. But like at one point, they enigmatic for both Tulsimir and Yarok. So they got gained 6 life, bunch of creatures just like absolutely wrecked us. So all sorts of fun things. Just a lot of back and forth. Eventually, we were just able to power through. And I don't think the third game, I don't think they got enigmatic in play. It's just a win for us. Mono Black control was actually really interesting because they have this tiny bones. So if I discarded a card on any turn, they get to draw a card, gain a life, and then they can just burn it out at the end, which actually made it really tough. A lot of just Thoughtseize. Eliminate doesn't really do anything, but like Rankle did stuff because it made us discard while pressuring us. Just making us discard Phyrexian Obliterator. Like I can't really block profitably because then I just have to sacrifice my mostly lands. Murder's Rite doesn't really do much to us, but like Davriel got into play and just making us discard cards, so we can't play our hand out fast enough for that sometimes. But we end up getting there. And then just kind of played Selesnya ramp. They got mana screwed. Jund Sacrifice was another really good game. It came down to what they can do is they can get Bolas' Citadel out on turn 3, and what that allows them to do is cast stuff from the top, which includes stuff like Cauldron Familiar, gaining them life, Mayhem Devil, Woe Strider, which allows them to sacrifice things and play with the top of their deck. Scavenging Ooze allows them to draw, gain life. And Collected Companies just, allows them to gain more creatures in play. And what they do from that then is just activate Bolas' Citadel, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, and if they have a Mayhem Devil out in play, sacrifice 10, I lose 10. Mayhem Devil, I just sack 10 things, and it deals 1 damage to me, so it just kills me. And with Gilded Goose and with Phyrexian Tower, they can do that on turn 3, which is really good. I think they did on turn 4 or 5 in the first game of the match. Second game, I actually was able to Thoughtseize their last card away, which was Bolas the Citadel. That was a decision. I think I could have cast Our Promise at that point and decided I wanted to be safe and cast the Citadel, put them in top deck mode, or cast the Thoughtseize and get whatever was in their hand, which happened to be Citadel. It was really big play, big brain play. But we're just able to grind them out. And then Rakdos mid-range. And this is actually my favorite deck of the tournament. It's my only match loss. And this was actually in the top 8. So the Jund Sacrifice deck was the only other undefeated. We were top 2 here. And because we beat them, we were the last undefeated. We go to the top 8. And we go up against Rakdos here. Big brain plays all day. You're right, James. I did play pretty well, and I don't want to go hand by hand because I don't even remember. But I played pretty well all day. Got a little bit lucky, which you really have to win a tournament like this. And then so this Rakdos mid range. So one of the things they can do is they have 4 Thoughtseize and 4 Duress in the sideboard, which is really good against us. They're aggressive, which means that they can get under us, which is what happened. Actually, no, it's not what happened in the first match, but it's what kind of happened in the second match. No, sorry. First game, they went under us. They were maybe Thoughtseize. And they Croxed us out, actually. We go to the second game, and we were just able to do enough. I think we Thoughtseized like 3 different cards away. And then the third game, their play was something like turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist, turn 3 Croxa, Innocent or Village Rites it. So how this interaction works is they cast Kroxa from their hand, and while the triggers are on the stack, they can village write it to draw 2 cards, make us discard a card, and lose 3 life if it was a non-land card. And then they attack with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, Thoughtseize us again with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, and just like absolutely rip apart our hand on like turn 3. I think I had like 1 or 2 cards left, and it was just like, what do I do from here? And it really, I think, showcased the power of this deck. I've been playing a little bit of it. We're going to play a little bit of it later on stream. And the way this tournament is set up is actually interesting. So typically, once you get to top 8 in tournament, it's just tournament style. So you have 8, and then you match against each other until there's a winner. But because this is a double elimination tournament, you have to have 2 losses no matter what. So what happens is the one player who's undefeated coming into the top 8, because I lost, I actually got to buy into the finals, which feels weird. But when you think about it the other way, if I win this match, I get to buy into finals too. So like if I win, I'm automatically in the finals regardless. Because if I win, there's 4 decks left because everyone else has gotten their second loss. And then if I lose, I'm still in, and the other 2 people have to fight. So it's just kind of a nod. They just make it easier that way. It's a nod to the last undefeated. So I got to buy here, and then we're going to go to the finals here. And I have it queued up right here. We're going to go through it. I'm going to kind of take you through my thoughts. And, oh man. My thoughts, and we'll kind of go through the cast here. Let me know if you guys
Let's head on
this.
down into our finals match here today of red-black aggro versus Sultai Ramp. This is a double elimination tournament, but both these players have already given up their loss, so they will be playing a single best of 3.
So I'm on the left,
decide the winner
and
of
they're
our
actually going to be
pretty quick mulligan here. Oof. Going to 5.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the right here. Obviously.
These both are mulligans.
Cool.
Not like this. Ooh. Not like this.
So I get a good hand here.
Red, black, aggro.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a good 6 for the field deck. They have a Languish, which is a great piece of interaction for them. They have, 2 lands is light, but they have this Explore and this Uro to try to chain them into more. And on the other side, it's 2 Knights of the Ebon Legion and a Dream.
That's all you need. That's all you need, Nick, is a Dream.
Ban-worthy card, Knight of the Ebon Legion.
Powerful. We won the die roll. I don't know what else you want.
Also powerful.
Did win the die roll here.
So if you're on Cricket's side, you're just like hoping Tom misses a land drop. It's basically.
Yeah, so I actually have a pretty big decision here because I drew this Heartless Act. Is do I get blue so I'll be able to cast my Uro or Krasis, or do I get black so I can cast the Heartless Act right away? And I think I have a better chance of. So I have more blue sources in the deck, I believe. But I think casting one of my green-blue cards allows me to win more often than casting the Heartless Act. I also have like the Languish here, so it's really tough. It's probably a 50-50 play, but being able to cast this early when my opponents only get 2 just seems great, especially because now they're black, and if they get my Languish away and I never draw a blue source, it's really rough.
Basically your plan.
Yep.
It's a good plan. That.
You're on Tom's side. Like, if you miss land drops, it can definitely get out of hand. You have tools, you have Heartless Act, you have Languish, but you have to be able to cast them.
Yep. Another thing that's potentially possible too, if we just see like forest or colorless lands come off the top from Tom, like even if they hit those don't cast Languish or Uro, could be a potential hang up as well.
I actually do this for the camera.
Going back and forth here, and Tom just seeing their opponent break, prioritizing getting that blue-green mana for Uro.
So I do draw the blue, so I kind of get punished here.
Okay, I think I like this. I don't know that I would like it on an opponent who has more resources, but I think against someone who's floundering around, it's like not too big of a deal.
right?
Yeah, no. You need 2 lands for this language, and I think you're still gonna need the language to win the game. But you have the hour, so I guess the theory here is if you get to cast the Uro and the Krasis, they will draw you into lands for the hour. At which point, it doesn't matter what color your mana is.
Okay. If you're cricket, you're just like brick, brick, brick.
After the way to a brick.
And I definitely made a mistake here. I thought I had a black source, like, so I was like, I can cast Growth Spiral or Heartless Act. It's not really a huge mistake because I can just cast the Growth Spiral here, which is what I do. But I think I just should have cast the Uro there. And also,
Bad.
Can we?
this is big because they Thoughtseize, and instead of taking, so I'm 2 black sources off of casting Languish here, which is big. But I can cast Heartless Act right now. And so I could do that and kill one of their things if I draw 1 black source. If I'm them, I don't think Heartless Act is even on my radar, and I think that's what they end up taking. I'm either taking the Uro or the Languish, because the Uro is going to draw me cards, ramp me, gain life, possibly allow me to stay in for 1 extra turn. I'm down to 13 now, and these are about to grow too. So, and these are also about to get out of Heartless Act. I think there's a really big punt on his
Pour one
play
out
here.
for the London Mulligan, by the way, letting our 4-card hand aggro player play a game of Magic here.
No. London Mulligan is bad because when you mulligan, you're supposed to lose and feel bad about it. That's good Magic.
That's good Magic. I really.
Oh no, so they took the Hydroid Crisis, which is probably even worse. So Hydroid Crisis is nice. It draws me a card. So yeah, it draws me a card. It gains me a little bit of life and it gets me a blocker. But here's the thing about Hydroid Crisis in this game is at best it's going to be a 2/2 that draws 1, gains 1 life. Like, if this game goes any further where I can cast a big Hydroid Crisis, like, I'm winning it regardless. Like, that's just not a good one. So, drawing Catacombs here. And this is interesting. I think I made the right play here
This play from Cricket
of getting the Uro because I need to get this second black source. But I could also hold the Heartless Act and kill, like, the Mire Triton.
I think the fact that we didn't take that, like, Tom spikes a black source here. Okay, so Tom's got 1 more draw to black source, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get. Well, I mean, it's not that much pressure.
Not a great Thoughtseize either.
I
just
don't like this Thoughtseize.
Yeah, losing the 2 life could have been very important.
All right, so you like if this is the window, if Tom draws mana for
I should be at
Languish, the game
10.
is over.
So I should be at 10 right now. They drew the Mire Triton regardless because that's the Thoughtseize bug, of course. And if I'm at 10, this is only 8 power in play. If they don't draw a land, like, I have another chance.
If they don't, right? You just cast the hour.
They need a land. If Tom bricks on a land,
Oh, I lied.
Yeah. You
6,
still need land for the hour.
Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10.
This
I guess I'd be dead regardless. And then I draw the land,
I think if you're on,
Languish, and that's game.
Cricket's side, this game was very winnable, and now we're done.
Now we're done.
Yeah,
because I'm just going to cast the Uro.
Because this red-black deck doesn't have the flyers that the mono-black deck had. So once you
it's got Phoenix, but like Uro's escaping at this point, and the window is closed.
Yep, and Uro's just gonna gain 3 life every turn.
Yep. So
because Uro is.
We had a close game on a Mold of 5 or Mold of 4, sorry, and I think I had a Thoughtseize gone a little bit different. We might have had a different outcome here, but
yep.
I think we're a little bit too far gone.
So like I block here. This gives a Death Touch when they activate its ability, which will kill my Uro, but I don't think it matters
at this point
because you'll see what I do next turn.
Because these Hour of Promise are just gonna put what four zombies into play and then like 16 zombies into play, and we're just done here.
It's gonna be a lot. Oh, this makes it 6 to start with. Or I guess 7 to start with if you do it this way.
You even get to Bajuka Bog, the red-black player, for good beads.
Bam.
Bajuka Bog just put in a game away.
Bajuka Bog is a card we hadn't talked about, but it's definitely a advantage this deck has over, say, the green-white deck or the Bant deck we saw earlier that I don't believe we're running Bajuka Bog.
The game here.
Because you could just...
All right, so you get here. This is a medium hand. I think I mulligan this because it just doesn't do anything until turn 4. And I know they're bringing in stuff like Agonizer Remorse, another good card against me.
Do you believe in this languish?
I mean, you have both black sources.
This
Yeah,
is the
I
game
think
where I
believe
make a
in Languish
huge
if I'm
punt.
on the Sultai. God, this hand of the red-black side is tough. I feel like I'd mulligan, but I also wouldn't fault them for keeping.
It's so rough when you mulligan to 4 like you did in the
Yep,
previous
much
game.
better.
And you're just
So
like, yep.
2, 3, 4
Yeah,
drop.
you're supposed to just keep doing whatever is correct, but that is much easier said than done.
I'm going to turn them down a little bit.
And Tom Tracy on our Sultai side, super rewarded for their decision to mulligan here. They're set up for a turn 3 Languish now, which is pretty good.
They're not. They don't black.
Oh, I was used to it. You're right. They're playing multiple triumphs. Yep.
Yeah, these decks play a lot of triumphs that are just like.
You can tell I'm a pro at being on camera because I hover over the triumph so they know exactly what's happening. Actually, it was something that kind of went through my head is like being good for the camera here because I do like to be on camera here and like to do it more.
Blue-green tap land, and then the other color doesn't matter.
Yeah, so now I'm just holding up Growth
Spiral.
Spiral.
Here if we eventually
they don't have black either.
Correct, yep.
Only have 1 black.
So
Ashiok is really good against me.
If you Agonizing Remorse here.
Yeah, I've actually been on camera quite a bit at this point, either in paper or on camera here. So I do know what I'm doing.
Or do we repeat the mistakes of the past, or do we take the Languish this time?
Well, in this situation with the Ashiok, I almost don't hate taking the Uro.
Well,
definitely would take the.
So I draw a second Languish here. They take my Uro.
You think so? Because I mean, like Ashiok exiles the Uro after they cast it.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like cantrips? But like now there's a second Languish, which like kind of incentivizes you to take the Uro. Yeah, I kind of don't hate this since there's a second Languish now.
Yeah, you're just gonna try to muscle. Good. The problem is muscling through the Uro is going to be, or muscling through the languishes is going to be difficult.
Yeah, there's an hour promise. That's. We still have 9 drops.
Turns it off. Right.
So they draw a second black.
That's incredible.
I didn't realize at the time.
Right. Dragon Skull Stomach coming in clutch.
But like, so in my head right now, it's like our promise is just gonna bury them. Like I'm gonna be able to get 2 zombies, 2 of lands of my choice. Probably gonna be Bajuka Bog and Arc of Erezka, and just our promise just gonna bury them from that point. That's my thought process right now.
We have a game.
And then they cast Ashiok. And I actually played against Ashiok earlier in the tournament. I knew this interaction, but Ashiok's abilities say opponents can't search their libraries or abilities. Your opponent's control can't search their libraries. And then its activated ability makes my library makes my graveyard disappear. And then I'm gonna make a pretty huge punt on my turn here. Because in my head, I'm thinking our promise just wins the game here.
Looks like cards that don't matter will be fuel for stuff.
And what I should do is make a 3/3 Hydroid Crisis. That is not what I do.
Later.
Oh no! Oh
no! So basically, our promise says search your library for 2 cards, and I can't search my library because of this. And I got the on-camera oops.
Oh, Tom, we've been there.
Don't do that.
We found a Phoenix. That's all right. Had maybe a.
So I should have a. Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah. So.
Had maybe a slop on a Thoughtseize pick from Cricket in the first game, but.
So I should have a 3/3 Hydroid Crisis in play right now.
Not a combo.
I should be. So, with the 3/3 Hydroid Crisis, they can't attack. So they can't attack with the Phoenix of Ash, because then I'll swing back and kill their Ashiok. And I also have the Hour Promise in play. And they can't just swing with the Kenra, because then I just eat it. So we're at a little bit of a stalemate. until I can draw lands. Maybe I can languish, do something.
I mean, that text
Pretty
isn't
big
why you
punt.
play the Ashiok, right? Like, you're playing the Ashiok for a completely different reason.
Yeah, so
I
now
think
I
in this
hydrate for
specific
3.
meta, you're playing it for that reason also.
Sure, yeah.
Like should have been casting this Explorer this turn.
But so rough.
So if they hit,
They beat down too, like
so you down tick your Ashiok and you can find Kenra or Croxa.
and you have this Phoenix to block for it. They can't really. Interesting. Well, so they still don't have double black, right? And
Yep.
you know they don't have land, or they would have played it that turn.
And like your 2/1 dying here isn't a big deal because you have the mana to escape it as a 4/4 next turn.
For sure.
So at this point, at worst, I should be at maybe 10 life. Maybe even higher life.
2468 says Avid Mindfester might be good. That card actually has no text. It looks like it has text, but whatever cards they want are just on top every time, so it actually doesn't do anything.
As someone who's played an incredible amount of Modern, I can confirm that my Court of Calling decks never included a 2/1 textless Avid Mind Sensor.
Yep.
I don't care how many Primeval Titans were in the format, that card did not have text.
It's always on top.
It just
like it's a card. Oh, okay.
Okay, here's a black source. So we get to languish.
Yeah, stop.
And then we're dead to a land here. Dead to untapped land on the because Phoenix plus a land is lethal with the fire breathing. Okay.
Yep.
That'll do, pig.
Are they?
Bang.
Yeah, and they kill me here.
All right.
All right, we're gonna get a game 3.
So
this is the last.
Really big punt there. But I mean, I don't know how much it would have affected the end, but I think very well could have. I would really like to see how that would have played out if I had the 3/3 crisis and was able to slowly beat them down with it. All right, so go to game 3 here.
This is our last one. Let's do it. All right, decent hands.
This is a really good game.
Honestly.
So we start with decent hands. They thought it's me to start with.
No 2-drop for the red-black player.
I think they take the Hour Promise here.
You probably just take Heartless Act. Because I would say Hour Promise, but you've got Ashiok, so like I think you just take the thing that kills your creature, right?
Yeah, because if you take Heartless Act, you get to keep your Pharasdon and Regisaur.
Yeah.
Which is going to cut them off a lot of draws, I think.
Yeah. And now I just Explore, get a Field in play.
A little awkward because the Explorer...
All of a sudden I'm very medium now because they can Ashiok on turn 3.
But like they have 2 fielded... This is a perfect draw here. Any 1 or 2 drop is great. They have 2 fields and 2 swamps, right? So their fields actually aren't going to be active for a while.
Yeah, the second swamp is rough. You get this Triome.
Right, there's a language, so like you have some counterplay available to you now, and you know on Cricket's side you have to play Ashiok this turn.
Yes, because if you don't, then you lose immediately to the Hour.
Yep. And if you're playing the Sultai deck, perhaps you want something like Maelstrom Pulse or Assassin's Trophy in your 75 as a way to kill Ashioks.
Yeah, I think Assassin's Trophy is very... I think Maelstrom Pulse is better.
I agree that Pulse is probably better.
So that's something. I don't have Maelstrom Pulse in my 75. You saw it in some of the other ones. And I think it's actually a strength of this deck is that it is so all in on the field plan. There's very few decks actually dealing with field once it's in play. So being able to just do that is really good. I'm also in the situation here where how long do I wait on this Languish? Basically playing with my life. Using my life as a resource.
Bring it in
like Languish, get rid of their thing here.
Where I think Trophy is a lot worse.
So on the field side here, we have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7 lands total, but only 5 differently named ones.
So
yeah, and
so opponent should definitely be playing the Rotting Register here. It's just closes out games. It's a 7/6 big dinosaur that makes them discard. It's whatever. Rampaging Froston's good. Makes it so that I can't gain life, and also all of my zombies cost a life. I mean, it's a really good card in the matchup, and I have to imagine that's what they're saying. This is my sideboard card that beats this matchup, but they know one of my cards They know I have Languish in my deck, and this outlives the Languish. Like, if they play the Regisaur, I'm
Here, I think you just flashback
super
the
dead.
Phoenix.
I think I would have flashed back the Phoenix or played Rotting Regisaur.
So I'm at 6 lands here,
Because-
one
Oh,
away
yeah.
from field.
Regisaur is good against Languish, right? Yeah. And
But still
now,
not casting.
now I feel here like you want to get Regisaur down. I guess Phoenix of the Ash is a haste or 2, and it like triggers your Knight this turn.
Yeah, the thing about Phoenix
Yeah,
is
I
it's
think
a haste.
Phoenix is better here. Because I'm 1 land off of Field of the Dead, so all of a sudden this Regisaur just becomes a liability at that point. And Phoenix gets in points right now, and it's in the air. I think it's fine.
And then next turn, you just get to do it again.
Sure. Yeah, because your graveyard is just like infinitely stocked, right?
Right.
The other upside is though to Regisaurs is again surviving Languish is a pretty big deal. I guess something to think about too is Casualties of War is a card that could maybe come in here. So like there's some value to playing your 4 mana effect this turn because you could technically get Stone Rained next turn.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
and that's a land that enables field.
Okay,
Sure.
so
you
that's
can
when I decided to Languish,
first.
which is fine. And I can
then
field right after
we have
it.
The
two
question
feet-
great.
here is can these zombies take down the Ashiok?
The Ashok's
Right.
at 2
so
here.
You can then.
That's perfect, right? So you wanna croc.
So, I mean, my plan is take the Ashiok, cast the Hour Promise, just destroy them. The thing that they can't do is cast 2 threats right now, which is important. If they could, that's really bad for me. They can just keep their Ashiok around for a bit. This Crocs is really big for them because they know I have Hour Promise.
Crocs and take the Hour Promise out of hand.
Yep.
And it's
then
just
doesn't
going to do
matter
that.
if they take the
It's going
Ashiok
to take it
turn
out of
they have
hand.
the top deck. But I mean, you just stop putting on pressure, right? So the Ashiok's going to be off the board. The Croxa, because I don't think you can protect it. You can't cast 2 spells this turn, which you need to do in order to protect.
So I have the City's
Ashiok.
Blessing. Once
So
again,
you're now.
it's going to be
not actually
shown
in
for the
best
camera.
spot, right?
Correct.
Like
Yep.
Tom's at 11. They have a lot of good draws. They can definitely pull them back into this game.
Agreed. Auto Tapper getting what's their name there? Cricket a little bit because they're gonna have to pay a life for this Croxen out. You want to watch these.
That life does
Yeah.
become
That
important
point
later.
of life could be exceedingly relevant because going from odd to even is the difference between a zombie hit killing you and not.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They mill
I
some
like
more.
distinguishing there. Otherwise, though, they
Correct.
attack with the
Yep.
Kendra first because then Tom can't block because if they block and then there's a second creature as a follow up, then they can't kill the Ashiok.
I should have swung with
Okay.
this at their face
Arco
here
Rosaka's online here.
because
Maybe-
I'm going to be
maybe do
getting
something.
more
Maybe.
zombies to block.
Second Watery Grave, the powerhouse of the deck. All right, so now 5 mana. Still can't double spell because they cast the Earthshaker the previous turn.
Yeah, we're just playing Phoenixes and hoping for no removal. And honestly, the fact that Heartless Act is Tom's removal spell of choice means this Phoenix coming back with a counter is insanely good.
Right, because now they have 3.
And this is when I win the game, I think. So it's just a top deck Hydroid Crisis. And you'll see what this Crisis does here.
Oh, that's really good.
So I'm counting my land, making sure that I have an
Big
even
one.
amount.
Yep.
Otherwise, I have to
A
shock this Water Graven.
A large Crisis.
All right, pack it up. We're done here.
I cast
As
it for
much as
8.
I wanted the red black deck to win, we can ship it.
So draw 4, gain 4.
Big chunky friend.
I had a lot of good draws at that point.
Gain life off
Uro's really good there.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Oh yeah.
just like we drew. it
Hoogan's
up.
really good there.
Oh, this is great. We got a nice tight game.
Hydroid Crisis really
Hero
good there.
got to win. Just about all of it.
I think
Just
you're
my top
confused
deck
about
here.
who the hero is.
So now I have an
right?
8/8
No, it's the
flying.
hero. The hero plays the Hydroid Crisis.
I like how one of the commentators is for me and one's for my opponent. Actually, gives it a fun
I don't think there's
fun
anything
twist to it.
that Creek can do at this point. They're dead on board.
You really
They're
felt
not
like the
actually.
deciding
They end
point
up
this
not
game,
being
like,
on board, which is
I don't
interesting.
know that it was wrong at the time with the decision that they made, but I feel like the one turn that this game could have gone differently was when Cricket elected not to play Rotting Regisaur early.
Mm-hmm.
They could have sequenced around Languish, and they didn't, and then Languish gave Tom enough time to peel a Hydroid Graces.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're commentating, so it's kind of hard to tell what all the math is, but I definitely...
Correct, yeah. And, like, at the time, like, Tom only had one unknown in their hand, so it's, like, hard to know that they had the Languish, but, you know, the discussion of, like, objectively right or wrong comes from, like, okay, is it right to play around this card in this situation?
This Ferocidon's really interesting here.
And
All right.
really, like,
So, doing the math here, this is flying and trample. So, the only thing that'll block it is Phoenix of Ashir. That'll block 5, so bring them down to 7. And then this is swinging for 10. So, they block 2 of them. That's only 6. So, 6 plus 5 gets it to 11. But the way they have to block, they block with the Mire, and they block with the Rampaging Ferocidon. The Ferocidon lives. So they're down to 1, but they have a Rampaging Ferocidon that says anytime a creature comes into play, deal 1 damage to that creature's controller. Which means if they're at 1, they can't play any more creatures.
The goal is...
And this is me doing the math here, just figuring it out.
And then to make an informed decision. And then if
like Blast One doesn't do anything here,
ends up being worse,
like I could explore. I'm worried about Croxa. I only have one spell in hand.
It's not about whether or not you're winning or losing in that.
So Croxa will make me will deal 3 damage to me if I play the Explorer, and then I'll draw another spell off of it. I can cycle this first though. That's safe.
Yeah, because the Mire Triton. Well, so the
doesn't do anything for me.
About living at 1 is because they played Rampaging Ferocidon here, they actually can't play another creature, right?
Yeah, they talk about that here.
They kind of doubled, and actually, this is actually definitely.
I don't know if this is the right.
They should have played Rotting Regisaur here instead of. Well, I guess this gets damage on these triggers. I don't know. It's tough because like Regisaur
really
makes
matter.
Embercleave a good
Just doing the math here, like they're just dead on board.
Yeah.
The way they played, which is still the best they probably could have done.
Embercleave in hand. You have Embercleave to draw to, and you have Regisaur out.
Oh, yeah, the problem you run into is I'm pretty sure Tom can make enough mana or make enough land drops that Embercleave on Regisaur doesn't actually kill them.
Okay.
Right, because they're at 8.
Yeah, I think so. And we've got Explore here, potentially 2, and a Jungle Howl. So yeah, I think we were done once the Hydroid Crisis happened.
Yeah, but
yep.
Yeah, there's just no way around.
They're at 1 life and they can't cast any of their spells.
Is symmetrical, so any creature that Cricket puts into play here does unfortunately kill Cricket. So, congrats to both of these players on making it to our finals. Congrats to Tom Tracy on showing us how powerful Field of the Dead can be. I'm sure Reddit will be excited to complain about that.
Yeah, and these were some.
It's true. People are very upset about it. So they play their Rotting Regisaur.
Both players were in it the whole time. Like very interesting
good game.
Games. And I think that speaks to a lot of the health of the format right now.
And victory right there.
Definitely enjoyed this format overall. Something that I'd like to point out to you just
So that was a really, really good match. I think really, really good games there. Here's the deck again. I want to play a couple matches with it before I get into the Rakdos and why I think it's so good. So let's go traditional, historic, and it's the Hooglandia Sultai lands. Hooglandia. All right, so let's just get right into it here.